Welcome everyone to the 2022 APAC OCI Days by Apaco UC. This is our first year having a dedicated OCI event and is your honor and privilege to run this event with the support of 15 Oracle user groups and jugs from the APAC region. Please remember to register to as many sessions as you can. This way you will be able to have access to our replays until June 15 through the platform. I would like to say thanks to our Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, the Oracle AC community, the DevRel team, and Oracle Corporation. Now for today's session, Multicloud Development with Azure and Oracle Database Cloud by Alex Key. Please feel free to add questions at any time by using the chat window in your lower right corner of your screen, and Alex will be answering all your questions at the end of his presentation. If you have any technical issues during this session, please use the same chat window and I will try to help you the best I can. Now, without more further ado, I want to leave you to this amazing session by Alex Key. Alex, the room is all yours.
Thank you, Francisco. So welcome. Thank you for coming and attending the session. So for the next 45 minutes, I'll talk about some of the latest developments we've had in the multi-cloud with between the Oracle Database Cloud and Azure. So why don't we skip ahead? My name's Alex Key, as Francisco has introduced me, and I'm a product manager here at Oracle. So we'll first talk a bit about the partnership that Oracle and Microsoft signed 3 years ago, and what's been going on lately and what we've been doing. And then we'll talk about some of the latest things we've been doing with the Oracle Database Cloud and integrating with Microsoft products, things like Visual Studio Code integration so that you can use Autonomous Database, Visual Studio integration so that you also can use the Oracle Autonomous Database, be able to navigate to it, connect to it, alter your schemas, add data, and even do many different tasks, start and stop the database, create even a new database if you like with these tools. And then we'll talk about using Azure with Oracle Autonomous Database, and I'll show you some new demos that I have in store for that. So let's talk a bit about the partnership to give you guys all a level set of where Oracle and Microsoft are in our partnership and where we've come from. So back in 2019, around middle of that year, Oracle and Microsoft announced that we've decided to partner our clouds together. And the reason why is that we saw increasingly more and more customers were going not to just a single cloud or consolidating in a single cloud, but they were using multiple clouds at once. And many of them were using Oracle Cloud and Azure. So we thought it was best for our mutual customers to be able to connect our clouds together so that they have a better experience tying those together because we have a lot of services, PaaS and SaaS-wise, that many of our mutual customers use and want to integrate together. And in the past 3 years, I think that multi-cloud usage has been, that trend has been vindicated and just continues to grow. There's been a recent analyst report that has seen that did a survey of a number of customers, a number of IT users out in the world, and finding out what is their adoption rate of multi-cloud. Were they planning to use a single cloud or go with multi-cloud solutions? And the vast majority, 76%, said they were going to adopt multi-cloud or use a hybrid cloud, and that the average company was planning to have about 2.3 clouds per company. So it's not just, some even go with 3 or even 4 clouds as well. And the larger the company, the more likely they're going to be using more clouds, just because there's so many solutions out there. There's a lot of different clouds available, and a lot of times the best solutions are available on specific clouds. And so that's actually not that different from the industry 20 years ago, where we've seen different platforms or different operating systems have better applications built for it. There was Windows and Linux, and now that same scenario is playing out just with different clouds, and tying those clouds together has become kind of the new way of working in IT. So why have all these companies decided to go with multi-cloud? Well, or why choose to go yourself is because cloud computing right now is in its infancy. It's rapidly accelerating in terms of its innovation. And many of the solutions being developed are on a single cloud or maybe on a couple clouds. And being able to use the best solutions all together does require sometimes using more than one cloud and tying those the data access together from those different clouds. So what we're seeing is that no single vendor is going to be the best at everything. You have infrastructure, and even within infrastructure, there's differences between all the major cloud vendors. But you do see the biggest difference among platform as a service and software as a service, especially software as a service, where you can get really different kinds of uh, built applications for enterprises out there, and each cloud will customize it, will enhance their PaaS and SaaS services, but a lot of them are just different from each other. Um, there are some cloud services that are available across multiple clouds, but even those services, sometimes you'll see like a database as a service on there, but database as a service will be different depending on uh, which cloud you choose. And then which one is best. So when you go to different clouds, it can be each cloud can have a different technology behind their database or different technology behind their application servers, uh, whether it's .NET or Java, things like that. Pricing can be different, where their data centers are and around the world, if they're located in country, what are the SLAs, what are the security levels, what is the service breadth in terms of other PaaS and SaaS services. So you can see that it can get rapidly it can be difficult to find any particular cloud that can suit any one company's desires to be an all-in-one cloud, which is why many are going multi-cloud. And customers will end up picking and choosing the clouds that they want based on the applications, the platforms, and even the infrastructure that they need from each individual cloud. Or even just if they get a good sales deal from the vendor too. That's another reason people choose a specific cloud is they get their a lot of their services from there. So then they choose a single cloud vendor for that. And that's the partnership what Oracle and Microsoft have that we're trying to make simpler. And what we've seen among the usage scenarios between Azure and the Oracle Cloud are a lot of Azure PaaS to Oracle PaaS. So things like Azure App Service with Oracle Autonomous Database, and I'll be showing you that, or with RAC or Exadata Cloud Service are also common database usage. But Oracle Autonomous Database is our easiest to use database, and which is quite popular for those who don't want to have a DBA and want to have a very simple to manage database, but still have the power of the Oracle database behind it. Then there's Azure PaaS with Oracle SaaS. So if you're using, say, Azure App Service with Oracle Fusion Cloud or any of Oracle's applications, those are available. And then Azure SaaS with Oracle PaaS is also common. So you have Office 365 and Power BI with the Oracle Database Cloud. And and uh, and also Azure with Oracle Cloud at Customer is a common usage scenario as well. But really, it could be any combination of Azure services or Oracle Cloud services, and it can run the gamut depending on what each customer wants to use. So what are kind of the direct benefits that our partnership with Microsoft gives customers? One is direct interconnect between our two clouds. So in specific regions, we will have a direct interconnect, a direct pipe between our two clouds within those regions. And that direct pipe gives faster performance and also more security since data doesn't have to travel over the public internet. Um, and of course, since it's a direct pipe, the performance is going to be faster than if it had to go on the internet. The other benefit is that you don't see any ingress or egress charges as well, so that when the data leaves or goes into any cloud, it won't be charged extra for that. Another benefit from our partnership is a unified identity, so that if you're using, say, uh, Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Active Directory on premise through Windows, you'll be able to single sign on into your Oracle Cloud. And the same thing if you sign on with Oracle Cloud, you can if your administrator has mapped the identities to your Azure Active Directory or on-premise Active Directory, you'll be able to have single sign-on, which makes administration much easier, as well as users having a much better experience because they can sign on once and they'll be identified by both clouds. And the last major benefit is that we have collaborative support so that if you are using both clouds together, you can just call either one of our support organizations and we'll be able to work with you and the other companies' support organization to ensure that we can fix your problem and resolve your issues. So it'll end up being a better customer service experience for the end user. So where are these uh, data center direct interconnects? Since most of you, I think, are in the Asia Pacific region, you'll see that the interconnects are in the ones that are closest to you are in Tokyo, Japan, Seoul, Korea, and the most recent one open is in Singapore. So those are where the interconnects are. So Oracle, we have a data center in each of those cities, and Microsoft also has a data center and in or near those cities, and that's where the interconnects occur. So if you have an Azure app in, say, Seoul, you can use the local data center there for Azure, and then Oracle's Seoul data center as well for the Oracle Cloud app that you need, and then have the direct interconnect between the two uh, um, uh, data centers within that Seoul region. So that's how they would work. If you're in other parts of the world or you have a global application, fear not. There are also data centers available in the UK, London, in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, in Frankfurt, Germany. And if you're in North America, the United States, we have in the Washington, D.C. area in Ashburn, the West Coast in San Jose, and Arizona and Phoenix. And then also for Toronto, Canada, as well as Vinhedo, Brazil. So we have a lot of different regions, and really we stand up a lot of these interconnects based on customer demand. So if you have a need for a specific uh, uh, region in which you want to connect Oracle Cloud and Azure, just let your salesperson know, and that both our clouds team will work on enabling that for you. So that was a bit about the business partnership and as well as what we're working with Microsoft on. Let me talk about the technology. So I'll talk briefly about the tooling, since among Azure users, among .NET users, Visual Studio Code and Visual Studio are very common. And what we've done with these these sets of tools is build in an integration point, build in our own tool set for Oracle on-premise databases, as well as for autonomous databases in the cloud, so that you can be able to go and browse your your uh, your cloud, your Oracle cloud, and be able to view your autonomous databases and be able to view your schemas and create tables, create stored procedures, edit them, and run them, things like that. So the first one I want to talk about is the Oracle Developer Tools for Visual Studio Code, or VS Code. And that's a plugin that's free on VS Code Marketplace. And you can run this on any operating system that is supported, including Linux, Mac OS, and Windows. And it allows you to develop not only in .NET, but Java, as well as Python, and many, many other languages. So you could be developing in really any language and be working with the Oracle database cloud from there. You can then explore your Oracle database as well as your autonomous database and go through your autonomous database lifecycle, starting and stopping, creating and destroying as you need it. You can also edit your SQL and PL SQL. You can also format results that you retrieve from the database as CSV or JSON. We have very nifty autocomplete IntelliSense capability, breadcrumb navigation. You can look at your SQL history and notebooks, or bookmarks, I should say. And we'll just do a quick look at that so that you can see it. So why don't we go to VS Code here? And so here you can see well, let me show you the first is the Oracle Explorer, which you will get when you download your VS Code plugin, your Oracle Developer Tools for VS Code. And then there you then provide your credentials to connect to your Oracle Cloud. And here we're connected to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. I have 3 different places that I can connect my that have accounts for. And here I am you can see I can extend one of them. I have my 21C database running, autonomous database running, and I have my database 19 off, and I can right click and I can start and stop and terminate. And then I can also browse that schema as well. So I'm connected here. I can see the different tables. So I can look at the locations table, for example, if I need to, and I'll retrieve the results. If the connection hasn't been stale too long, maybe I need to, let me refresh this. And let me refresh, yeah, because it's been open a while. And let me say departments table. We'll show the data. Yep, there it is. There's the departments table. So that's an example of usage of the tools for Visual Studio Code that you can have. If we go back to the slides, the other set of tooling we have is for Visual Studio itself. So Visual Studio has actually a little more autonomous database functionality than the VS Code set of tools, um, so that you can use you can use, but they're basically very similar in terms of their usage. Now, these Oracle Developer tools are also free, but you'll find them on the Visual Studio Marketplace since they're Visual Studio tools. And then you'll be able to use the very similar functionality with autonomous database, as you can see from the screenshot. The My Always Free is a data source here that's running, which is why it has the green box and the star. And you can see your different tables. And here we look at the tables, you can see your stored procedures. So the functionality is quite similar. You do have some more on-premise functionality or more database kind of designer functionality available. Things like the designers for tables, views, and stored procedures, things like that, that you have. Although you do have those designers also in the Visual Studio Code tools. Is just the developer tools for Visual Studio are a bit more mature since they've been around longer. It also provides things like schema comparison tools, so you can do schema comparison, like get between two schemas to see what's changed, and then apply scripts to the change one to bring them level set together. Uh, and also database project for source code, so you can save your schema scripts. So that's available to you as well. So you can use that for your autonomous database development or your on-premise database development. So let's go to do some demos with using Azure. So actually, let me just give you a quick look at the Visual Studio tools since I talked about that, and you'll see that it looks very similar to the Visual Studio Code tools. So here you have, I'm here connected to my autonomous database 21C. I can then create a data connection. I'm already connected, and then I can open tables and look at, say, the departments table. So if I look at that, okay, we'll look at countries instead. Oh, maybe I have left this idle too long, so that I need to refresh as well. That's why. Yep. So now I should be able to view it. Yep. There we go. So you can see now the departments table as well. So don't leave your connections idle too long. The cloud will kill it, or leaving it too late, or the fire. Oh, usually it's a firewall too. So that's one of the things I've learned as well. So that's just Visual Studio. So we can close that, and let's go look at some demos of using Oracle Autonomous Database with Azure Web App. So this is one of the common scenarios I've seen people use is .NET users like to use Azure, and one of the favorites is using Azure Web Apps, since there's a lot of .NET applications out there using Azure, and then be able to connect to an Oracle Autonomous Database. So let's go take a look at Visual Studio. Where is it? Right here. Okay. And I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to create something from scratch. I'm going to create an ASP.NET empty project. So I'll hit next. And we'll just call it Web Application 29. We'll keep it simple. Real easy. We'll just give it the next number up. And it'll be a .NET 6 app. So it'll be a fairly new version of .NET Core running. And first thing we need, since we're going to connect to an Oracle database, autonomous database, we're going to need ODP.NET, the Oracle data provider for .NET, which will provide us connectivity. So we will go to NuGet Package Manager. We will go look at Oracle, and we will find ODP.NET Core since we're going to run a ASP.NET Core web app. So we'll just install the latest one, install, and it's installed. So we say we don't can avoid the README. We don't need this window anymore. So now we're have ODP.NET, and then we'll open the program, and we'll populate it with some data access to our autonomous database. And just so you know, I've got an Oracle autonomous database already set up. So let me bring this over. So here is my autonomous database 21C. You saw me connect with it already through Visual Studio and Visual Studio Code. And we're just going to connect to the same database here. That's all we're going to do. Okay, so let me actually, I have to got some code. So I have in my GitHub, I have, I'm going to copy some code from the sample code application location. Oops, that's the, where is the copy button? I just want, well, we'll just do this. I'm just going to copy and paste. Okay, so this is just a basic web app, and I will update it and tell you what I'm doing. So we have to provide a username and password. So I will provide a username and password. And let's reduce this to 30 seconds so that in case something goes wrong, we're not left waiting. And we are going to connect directly. So we need a data source. So let's grab our connect descriptor from the cloud. So I'm going to go back to the Oracle Cloud here, and we are going to go DB connection, and we're going to use a walletless connection here. So it's going to be a TLS walletless connection. So we just want to copy one of the TNS names connection strings. So I'm going to hit copy here, and I'm going to paste the value here. The thing that C# doesn't like are quotes. So the distinguished name has quotes around it. So we're going to delete those because it'll work just fine without the quotes. And there the data source looks fine. So this is the entire connect descriptor. And this will allow us to connect without a tnestnames.org because we have the connect descriptor right there. And we're going to connect without a wallet as well. So this is a walletless connection too. So it'll be a real simple demonstration. So that's something new that we have. And let me just walk you through the code for what we're doing here. We're going to connect with that connection string that I've created, create a command, open the connection, then tell everyone that we're connected. Then we'll just put another carriage return here. And normally the sample app I have is just selecting the version number, select banner from the $V version. But we're going to do something a little more interesting. Let me pick up some code here. We're just going to select from a table that we have in Autonomous Database. Every shared Autonomous Database has access to the sales history table, and that sales history table, sales history schema, and that sales history schema has a customers table, and that customers table has first names, last names, the city of the customer, and a customer credit limit. And we're just going to fetch the first 20 rows of that just to bring back some interesting data. It's much more interesting than, say, what version are you connected to, right? So I thought I'd make it a little more interesting there. And then we'll just return to, we'll read the data and output it to the screen. It'll say, okay, this is the customer, their name, and they're based in what city, and they have this much in credit. So it's just a basic query. And actually, this should just work right now. I haven't deployed it to Azure yet, but it should work on premise. So let me test this on premise just to make sure I can connect to my autonomous database. Okay. Oh, the screen is coming up here. Show up. And it looks like it works. So that's good. It connected. And it gave me the first 20 values from that sales history database. So we have 20 customer names, 20 cities or locations. I think they're cities, and then how much in credit they have for each of these customers. So it's working from on-premise to my autonomous database. Let's deploy it to Azure. So we are going to right-click here and publish, and we will choose an Azure target, and this will be Windows. We'll say next, and then I'm already connected to my Azure account, so no need to log in here. And then we have to pick an app service instance to have it connect to. I'll have one, we'll create one. Oops, that's not what I want. I want my Azure app. And we'll create a new one here. And since it's walletless, we don't need a wallet. We can use free. If we did need to use a wallet, you should use a basic one or a higher. That allows you to use wallets with in the file system if that's what you do. So, but since we're not using wallets, we can use a free version to save some money. And of course, autonomous database also is also free, so that this is a completely free solution end to end, which is something great to have. Everything looks great, so we'll say create, and this will go and kind of create kind of the setup for the service. So it's creating the app service, as you can see, and then we'll publish the actual files up to the cloud so that we can run it up there. Okay, so here everything looks good. You say finish, and it will say I'm ready to publish. So we say publish. And now it will check if everything will run, and then I think it'll compile again and then publish up to Azure in a new website that it'll create at the same time it's publishing. So it's publishing, it's pushing up some of the files. You can see, and it'll should show all the files it's publishing. Yeah, and all the runtimes in there, and it should be, looks like it's done. So the publish succeeded. And one more step I'll need to do, which is in walletless, we need to provide provide the addresses allowed to access the autonomous database. And so we'll go to the web app here, and we will refresh so that we can see the web app. Here you see it. So we'll go inside, and we need to put on the allow list that this web application can connect to the Oracle Autonomous Database. And if it's not, if you don't put it on there, the web app can't connect to it, right? Can't connect to the database. So this is an additional security feature that's there when you use walletless autonomous database. So we will go to, I think, configuration, and no, not configuration. We will go to properties. Yeah, properties. And these are all the outbound IP addresses that will leave your Azure web app and go to autonomous database. So we say copy that to the clipboard. When you copy that to the clipboard, we will then go back to our autonomous database management console, and then we will add to our access control list all the IP addresses there. And if some of the IP addresses overlap, that's okay. It will only save each unique one. So the console is smart enough to know that, which is a benefit. It's actually also, as it updates autonomous database, it's kind of rebooting the service. So the service is restarting. Just a side note for when you do set this up, by default, mutual TLS is set up to be required, and the access control list doesn't have any IPs in it. So when you enable walletless, you will edit this and say and uncheck this box. So this box is checked by default. You will uncheck it and save it so that walletless TLS can be used. And then, of course, you will add your IPs or you don't have to be IPs, but your CIDR blocks, your VCNs to this list, and that way you can allow it access. So now that we've allowed access from Azure, my Azure web app, we should be able to run this now. So if we go back to the go back to this browser tab, we should be able to go back to the overview and hit browse, and it should connect, and it does. So it's pretty fast too. So it connected and brought back our 20 some customers. So what happened? So that's quick and simple way to use walletless TLS. Let me show you, if you wanted to include your TNS names on Aura, what you would do with walletless TLS. So let's close this and let's go back to the program, and we will use wallets instead. We don't have to change anything in the autonomous database configuration because autonomous database will by default support mutual TLS. I'm sorry, we're not going to test. We're not going to try out mutual TLS just yet. We're just allowing a TNS names .org to be used, so you'll have that as your reference. So we will create. Let's create one. So we're going to create a TNS names.org file from this. So we will add a new folder. We will call that folder Oracle. And in that folder, we will add a new text file. Where are you, text file? There you are. And we'll call you tnsnames.aura. And here we will add our connect descriptor and what is it called? Net service name. So we've got the connect descriptor here. Actually, let me do let's call it ATP. We'll call the net service name, put it equal, and I'm pasting the connect descriptor that I just posted here. And I didn't have the quotes there, but I think it should work, but just in case. I've never tested it without the quotes with the, oh, actually I can't use that because it puts spaces in there, and let me go and copy it back because, yeah, Visual Studio put some spaces in there, so I'm not sure if TNS will be able to be read. So let's go back and actually just copy it from the console just to be ultra safe. And this is actually the way you should grab it. So I'm picking up a TLS connection string, and I just hit copy there. So here, and let me just paste it like that there. Then we'll just put that ATP equals and save it. So ATP equals that thing. And so if we delete this, it should work out just fine. Now we also need to tell it where to find that tnsnames.org. So I have this Oracle configuration.tnsadmin, and it will look in the website root directory, and it will look in the Oracle subdirectory here. So if I add Oracle, and I should be able to publish this. Let me first publish the Oracle subdirectory and make sure that gets sent up there. Okay, looks like it's been successful. Yep. And I will then publish the remaining file, which is the actual program.cs file, because that's the one that's changed. Okay, looks like it succeeded. So let's go to, let me close this. Let's go to back to here, the website. So let's just make sure it got uploaded, and we'll go to the console of the Azure web app. And where are you, console? There you are. Okay, and there should be an Oracle directory, and we should see the tnsnames.aura. Perfect, it's there. Okay, we see it right there. Okay, so it's looking fine. Let's go back here and we will try to run it and see if we can access the application. Okay, it's going a little slow, which is never a good sign. Did I miss a step? I'm trying to think. Did I miss some step here? I did do the TLS. Let me look at my ATP, and it is called ATP. Yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. Let's see. No, it's going to time out. That is taking longer than I expected. Okay. I must have missed a step, but I can't. What did I miss? Okay, let's just check again. Let me just make sure this looks okay. Yeah, it looks fine. Not sure. Let's see if I run this from here, it should work fine. Well, because yeah, I still have that there, and this was uploaded. Not sure. This is very odd. Let's see. It's not even timing out either, which is kind of strange. Let's see if, let me just try resetting, stopping and starting. Let's just see it's some aspect of something with Azure. If not, we'll just move on. Okay, so let me browse again. There, it's working now. Must have been some hiccup on the system. Not sure why, it just needed a reset. But I mean, maybe it goes to show when you get the, when you're using free services, sometimes reliability is not always there. Not sure what exactly happened, but maybe just a hiccup on the system. Maybe I checked it too quickly after I reset something, but it's working. Didn't really change anything other than kind of, yeah, just reset the application. So where are we? We've got about 8 more minutes. Um, let's see, we can do one more demo. Let's do one more demo. If you were using, let's hide this or exclude it from the project or delete it from the project. If you use wallets, you'll have to deploy with Azure basic service level for your app service. So if we, let's say we wanted to use wallets, we would, first we would add, let's add some existing items here. And let me copy over this directory so that it's easier to get here. And I'm going to use a wallet, SQLnet Aura, TNS next Aura, just like your credential files that you would normally get from your Oracle Autonomous Database. And we will also, we have to identify where these will be located. So we will also say, Oracle configuration. So we already have a TNS names.admin. We will add just the wallet location and make that equal to, the Oracle configuration dot TNS admin. So I think that should be it. That should be just fine in terms of setting everything up. And since this is, we don't have the ATP guy anymore as our net service name, we have to use the traditional ones that get auto created for you for credentials. Yeah, that should be it. So we will deploy this, but we will publish it to a new service because we need to use a basic level or higher app service instead of the free app service. So we'll just repeat this again. New guy, and we will create a new service here. Basic level is the cheapest since we have a file system wallet that we're going to deploy. Say okay, create that guy, and it'll just repeat itself there. in terms of creating the service. And here we don't need to worry about adding the outbound IPs because we are using a wallet, and wallets are always supported, and you don't have to identify the machine coming in for that type of service. So that's one of the benefits of using wallets, is that you don't have to use that. So we finish and we publish. And we will also have to, when this is done, I'll also have to publish with the Oracle directory as well. Uh, you just the applications don't publish kind of these extra directories that you create, so you have to explicitly have them be included in a publish file that you have set up, or publish them explicitly. So looks like it succeeded. Okay, so we will go back and let's also publish everything in this Oracle directory. And we'll see if that succeeds. Looks like it's, and could not connect to the remote computer. Huh, now that's an interesting error. Okay, let's, you just allowed me to publish the the rest of the file. I'm going to try publishing again. That's kind of an odd error. If I can't publish my wallet directory, I won't be able to connect. So I'm not sure why it's not letting me publish. But if it won't let me, oh, okay. Looks like it was just a hiccup. Azure is just acting up on me today. Okay, so we should go back to my Azure web app and let's refresh this. There should be a new version up here. And I think this is the later one, 318. I think this is the later one. We'll see. We'll find out. Here's one easy way to tell. We'll go to the console and we'll see. Yep, this is the new one because it has my cwallet, SQL.TNS names are, and I verified they were uploaded. And let's run it. Oh, one more step, forgot. Gotta go configuration. I gotta enable file system wallets to be used. So let us go and enable that. We have a setting in IIS, which if you know IIS might be familiar, is load user profile. And there's a similar one here for um, Azure web app, website load user profile with all the underscores. And we save that. And when you save it, it'll reboot the web server. And once it's done coming back up, which takes a little bit, you can see it's updating, successfully updated, although it takes a little longer than that. But once it's back up, we should be able to connect with the wallet. Let's try that out. See if we get enough time. If it's taking a while, it's usually a sign we haven't given it enough time. Oh, let's browse again. Well, we know it's trying to connect because it returned that error, although we shouldn't be getting that error. Let's see if we get it again. Huh, what's going on? But we're running close out of time, but why isn't it? Well, let's try to restart one more time. Stop, yes, or there's a restart, I should have hit that, but that's okay. And we'll try browse one more time. Sometimes if you try it too quickly, Azure is not quite ready with the IIS web server backup yet, so we'll see if that works. If not, we're almost out of time. Oh, maybe there was something wrong with my connect string. So, well, at least we know it's trying to connect, but couldn't resolve the connect identifier. So, well, we'll fix that some other time since we're almost out of time. But let me see if we have any questions. Oh, it's just chat between everyone there.
Yes, Alex, I
Yeah.
cannot see any question at the moment
Okay.
here. If anyone has any question, please feel free to ask using the chat window. I'm just now flicking through the Facebook pages of two of the four user groups. They are also being streaming live to see the ones I have access to see if there's any question. Just
Okay.
looking right here. And nothing up to this point. If anyone has any questions, please use the chat windows to enter your questions. And if not, if you're watching the replay or you want to ask Alex directly, please feel free to do that. You can send your questions directly to Alex. And if you cannot, also other option, you can enter in contact with me or with Apaco UC, and I can redirect your questions to Alex at any given time. You
And
can see
just in
his
case,
contact information.
yeah, my email's down here if you need to reach me. We also have, of course, our website, GitHub. If you want the code sample, it's on the GitHub website. Twitter, if you want to tweet at us or get the latest news, and of course, videos of any number of our .NET demos are up there for you, including integration with Azure. So yeah, thank you, Francisco, and the APAC Oracle user groups out there that have been so helpful in putting this all together. Uh, it's I it's been a pleasure to present to you.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's always a pleasure to have you here sharing the knowledge with the user community, and not only in the Asia Pac, but also all around the world. Thank you so much for another great session as always.
Okay, until next time. Bye bye.
Thank you. Saying that, thank you everyone. Please take care and be safe. The replay will be available 24 hours after the live sessions. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.